Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsessions
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, Rangers. It's me, Jackie Kashian. Welcome to the Dork Forest. It's 2024. Let's do this. Here's the credits, of course. Mike Ruekberg sang that song at the beginning, and he wrote that song, and he sang it with Sarah Cohen, his wife, and he will sing the Mexican hat dance at the end of the program. Also, Patrick Brady, still putting this together. Video, audio, all of it. He's amazing. So, and Vilmos doing JackieKashianStore.com. Squarespace is doing the regular Jackie Kashian page, and I'm thinking of moving the Dork Forest and dorkforest.com away from WordPress because it's driving me nuts. But those are the credits. But if you go to JackieKashian.com, you can get Dork Forest merch. You can get my stand-up merch. You can get my stand-up CDs and DVDs, which you'd have to have devices for those. You can also see videos and find out any number of things. I have another podcast called The Jackie and Laurie Show, but the Dork Forest is the flagship. 18th year. We're doing it, you guys. You can go to my Bandcamp or my YouTube for extra content. Please donate, is what I'm saying. It's 2024, and I think we've been in this long enough. Why don't you guys, everybody send me $100? That's what I'd like you to do. You can PayPal me. There's links all over the pages. You can Venmo me at Jackie Kashian. You can find me at a stand-up show and hand me a sweaty wad of 20s. Do something. But I love doing the show. I would love to make some money, is what I'd like to do. In other news, I'm sure there's more things that I should talk about, but I can't think of them. But let's listen to who's going to dork out about something, because that's my favorite part. Thanks for listening, you guys. You're all great. Let's get into the show. It's me, Jackie Kashian. I'm in my garage. I am recording some Dork Forest, Rangers. It's coming together. This week's guest, Lindsay Adams, stand-up comic at Lindsay Adams is popular on Instagram. Yes, we've met here in the Los Angeles area whilst doing this stand-up comedy. Very funny. Welcome to the Dork Forest, Lindsay Adams.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I love the pod.
Right. It's going to be super well. And I don't think I've had anyone do baking in a while. And so it's always exciting to get someone to talk about something that I don't want to do. My mother-in-law loves to bake, and she has a sourdough starter that's over 40 years old that will not die on my fucking watch. So we do bake every couple of weeks.
Jesus.
Anyway, so you like to bake, though. That's a thing that you enjoy. You enjoy baking.
Yes.
That's what I hear?
Yeah.
Yes. Talk to me about it. Where'd you learn? Why do you care?
I mean, it's so funny. I guess well, first of all, part of it comes from a place of my mom was like a granola mom, or I think they call them almond moms now.
Well,
and so I don't know. So she.
What did granola do?
I know. So she was like out of like a hippie type person, and she was like, no artificial colors or flavors or anything like that. That's bad. And so my instinct was like, that's all I want.
Right. Right. It's just sugar and candy and yeah. And something that's blue, which doesn't occur naturally. Yes,
exactly. Decadent. I just associate it with like decadence, happiness, joy, like all of those different things. And so that like initially drove me towards sweets, but then I always really liked the idea that baking is kind of like a makeover show, but for ingredients.
What?
Like you get to watch like a fun transformation happen to seemingly boring ingredients. It's so much more than you do with cooking, in my opinion.
All right. So you're talking about what are the basics of baking? I mean, some sort of flour, obviously, right?
Yeah. Flour, fat, normally, some sort of binding agent. So fat would be like the butter, binding agent would be like the egg.
Okay.
And then that's like really like the only like essential, and then a leavening agent of some sort, so baking soda or baking powder,
Okay.
or something natural like the yeast
Okay.
in
Yeah, like sourdough starter or something else.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I just like, I think it's fucking cool that you get to, I think first of all, anytime you bake anything, for the most part, if there's sugar in it, it's always edible.
Oh, interesting.
Even
Okay.
even if technically, even if it's like not perfect, it's usually pretty edible.
Sure. That I like the attitude for sure, where you're just like,
Yeah.
wow, it's at the very least you could eat it.
Yeah.
Yes.
At bare minimum. And then at like maximum, it's a masterpiece.
Right? Right. It could be good looking. It could
Yeah.
be delicious. It could
Yeah.
be cooked. And those are the
Yes.
three things that could happen. And in all
Yeah.
cases, they are edible.
Yeah.
So as long as it's fully
100%.
cooked, 100%,
Yeah.
it's yeah, I think Maria tells the story, Bamford tells the story of trying to make pancakes in a tall pot
Mm.
and how it didn't work. And
Yeah.
in the end of it, it was just she would just start over. And she's better now. She's better now than she's ever been. She decided several years ago to learn to cook and to bake, and
Oh, yeah.
it's great. It's really cool of her. I mean, would that we all wanted to learn a new thing every couple of years. What
Yeah.
did you bake when you were a kid? Did you ever bake granola bars or?
No, I mean, like, for my fifth grade science project, I did make a pie crust, and I
Oh,
made a
okay.
pie. Like,
Where did you grow up? In
um,
the 50s?
I
Of
know,
what, a
right?
science project? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I would in New Jersey, but I
Okay.
grew up in New Jersey, but I also was like not the most studious student. And so any opportunity to kind of stretch the boundaries of what would count as
As
schoolwork.
Yeah, it's science and math. No, that's tricksy and delightful. I'm just psyched that your school offered some sort of science contest. Good
Oh
for them.
yeah. No,
Good for them. Yeah.
they were really good about it. We had our science teachers were pretty great. Our science and history teachers, most of the teachers were pretty good. But we had like an open-ended science project, and I was like
Okay.
fucking baking, and I
You're
did,
gonna
and I
make.
like it
You
was
nailed
great.
it. Did you? So
Yeah,
you
it
made
was
a
great.
pie crust. Did you end up making a pie with the? I mean,
I
you'd
think,
have to
but like
take it to school, but maybe not.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, my mom was like the kind of person who was like, you know what's so great about apple pie is you don't need to add any sugar to it. And I'm like, "Oh, it's
uh,
so funny. I didn't know that that was
but
how you made apple pie."
if you could add sugar to it, it makes it somehow even better. But I get what
Yeah,
you're saying. Sure.
sure. She was always like, "Wow, do you know what's a great dessert? Cherries." And I was
Again,
like,
she's not wrong. But you know what
"Sure.
else is a really good dessert? I don't know, a piece of pie,
Yeah,
a scoop of ice cream.
exactly.
Delicious.
Exactly."
Yes.
No, I always loved that shit. And then when I got into comedy, I started baking to deal with
You
like the
started
stress.
really? So wait,
Yeah.
okay. This is interesting. So to deal with the stress of stand-up comedy and the weird world of stand-up comedy, you started
Yeah.
baking. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
What do you
like
make?
a little more involved than that. I started stand up, and then shortly after my dad died. And then after that, I like had just graduated school, and so I needed to get a real job. And
Right.
so I got an office job, and
Sure.
I hated it.
There
Um
it's a real challenge liking an office job. You really the people have to be
yeah.
amazing or you have
Yeah.
to be king. One of those two things has to happen for you to like an office
Yeah.
job.
And unfortunately, neither there was one good person, and everyone else it was not good. And
Right.
so I was fired.
Ooh.
And when I know. Well, I also
Mhm.
deserve to be
Did they
fired,
not? I
but
was going to say, did they not get you, or was it justified?
it was a little bit of everything.
Sure.
We had a new boss come in, and he and I just butted heads. He was like
Right.
Midwest alpha male, like
Just out of the
Bible.
box.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
like very, and so my instinct was to just like be an absolute bitch to him, and
Success.
yeah, and success.
Congratulations.
But he would like come up with stuff for HR complaints where he would be like, "Oh, she has disrespectful body language,"
Oh, wow.
and because he said that like he would come in the morning and I wouldn't say hi to him, or I would roll my eyes when he was talking to me.
No. Yeah. See, here's where, yeah, you're not painting the picture where this was unjustified, but you did say that it was justified. It's, I have to
Yeah.
say, I had a boss. I've never been fired, and I have had to make, well, there's a technical term for it, but it's called an apology. And I had to
Right.
return the money I stole. That's right.
Oh,
I
okay.
stole money from work because a guy came
Nice.
in as a manager and he told everybody that nobody's going to be able to steal from this company ever again. And I said to him, nobody's been stealing from this company. And he said, well, they're not going to be able to do it at all now. And 2 months later, I was like, why is my credit card bill so high? Let me credit my own credit card bill. And yeah. And then many years later, when I decided that I didn't want to live with a lot of lies,
Right.
I went and apologized to that guy's boss, his brother,
Wow.
and gave him the $800 I stole. One of my friends was very funny. She said, "Well, maybe he'll just be psyched you apologize and won't want the $800." And I said, "Who do you know that doesn't want $800? Uh, no one."
Yeah. I mean,
How about
a really rich person
would
might.
also take a handful of 20s being handed to them. They would go, "Thank you." Yes,
Yeah, I guess you're
but
right. If you had it
yeah,
in cash, but like, do you feel like today, if there was if you went in and offered to Venmo him, he still would have said yes?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, and
Okay, fair.
he's the most successful hippie in the whole wide world. He is the most capitalistic socialist ever created on God's green earth. Yes,
Interesting.
Minneapolis, Minnesota. Scott owns a company called Northern Sun Merchandising. I believe his
Okay.
brother is running it by himself now, and Trent is actually a good guy. He just didn't
Sure.
get, all. I was challenged, and I was
Yeah.
a dick. So
Yeah.
that was my part, and correcting my part and not doing that again was how to keep moving. So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
understandable.
yeah.
Okay,
So
so then that's the only situation in which you were fired. Well, not where
and I wasn't even fired. I
you
was
weren't
fired
fired.
once from being a fan in the stands for a local TV show for a baseball for Bill Murray's pro baseball team, like this sort of
Oh,
hobby baseball team he has in St. Paul, Minnesota.
oh my
I was the
god.
fan in the stands, and and again at the time I thought that had been some miscarriage of justice, but I looked back on the clips and I made absolutely everything historically political, like
Oh my god.
Stalin, the Cold War, like for no reason. I mean, what are you doing? People are at a baseball game.
Yeah. No, but that's so funny. And
And
that's
then I
also
was let
like,
go. Yes.
okay, fair. I do feel like I instinctually feel entitled to do
Please
more of
finish
what I
that sentence.
want.
Yes.
Yeah, more of what I want when someone hires me to do a job and less of what they want.
Yeah.
So
That that
that's
yeah,
yeah.
there's trouble there. That
I,
sentence could be relived and go, I instinctively felt privileged. Yeah, wait a minute. Okay.
yeah,
Yes. Of course you did. We all do. It's great being a whitey Magoo. And
I know.
but though so be it. But here's the scoop though. You were dealing with stress by learning how to bake.
I know.
Let's hear that.
When I got fired, it was like, obviously I knew, like, the straw that broke the camel's back was that on G-Chat, I had told someone that he was like a lying snake and a nightmare of a person.
And you're like, this is not an outlet. This is not the correct outlet.
I truly didn't think that they could. I was like, it's G-Chat. My bad. But he, so when I got fired, it was like the first kind of like initial shock thing or whatever. And I was like, I didn't really like know what to do. And so I was just like, I'm just going to fucking make these like cinnamon rolls. And so
I feel like there's a scene missing from this, but I love the snap, the crash cut, because that's awesome. I'm going to make cinnamon rolls. How do you make cinnamon rolls? When do you add the cinnamon? Immediately?
I did cheat code cinnamon rolls. I built up to doing like baking, but like
cool.
I don't. Yeah, so I grabbed like Pillsbury crescent rolls.
Oh, right. Kaboom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those things. You use the kaboom rolls. Okay.
Yeah. And then I put them together with butter and cinnamon and sugar. And I didn't use a recipe. I just chanced it.
How'd that work?
I mean,
it was edible.
It was thrilling. It was like flying by the seat of my pants.
You're like, watch me bake. That's cool.
Well, it was cool.
First time baking. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like, then afterwards, I brought them to a group of friends. Like, I think I was either going to a stand-up show or something.
Right.
And I was just like, hey, I made these. Everybody can have them. And it made everyone so happy. And so it was kind of like,
which is also like stand-up comedy, where you're like, please like me. And a little bit of that, but also free cinnamon rolls. So everyone is like, yes, please.
No, absolutely.
Well, yeah.
And it makes people happy.
Great. Yes, you're great. This is very sweet. So what did it lead to? Like, do you own a KitchenAid?
I do. I have 2 KitchenAids.
What? Oh my God.
I know.
I thought I had reached for the moon. No, you have 2.
I have 2 KitchenAids. I had one as like my husband got me a gift. He got me one like years ago. And then I probably like 8 years ago. And then during the pandemic, I upgraded.
Lockdown.
And
why not?
Yeah. So I have 2 KitchenAids and but yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it. I don't want a bakery. I never want to own a bakery.
Fair enough.
Never want to like, I sell stuff or I do custom orders on stuff.
Okay.
But for like word of mouth mostly. If it's a big party or something big, I won't do it because it just takes the joy out of it.
Right. Then it becomes a grind and it's not the fun thing. Yeah. Last week's episode of the Dork Forest was about a guy who loves watches. He doesn't collect watches. He has several watches, but he likes really, really nice watches. And I said, would you ever want to learn how to make a watch or fix a watch or build a watch? He said, I think that would take the joy out of it, making it a job. So I think that's what that is with the baking. That's cool.
Yeah, I know anytime I've gotten close to being like, okay, you know what, I'll sell this like it's work. Yeah. I don't like during the pandemic, times were tough and I was selling pies during during Thanksgiving.
Okay. So during lockdown, you literally made pies and just sold them like on the internet, to friends and family on the internet. So tell people if they want a pumpkin pie, I will make them a pumpkin pie.
I was like, put in an order, like through social media. I was like, if you want it, write it down. I'll put in an order. And it was like fairly lucrative and worked. And I did the same thing with Christmas cookies, but I just got tired of it and I got mad that I had to do it. And so
well, Christmas cookies, by the way, are a grind. Like if you make a lot of Christmas cookies, one of my dogs is having some sort of coughing fit over there. What's going
Oh
on, Gordy?
no.
You all right, buddy? All right, you're a good boy. All right, try to keep it together. I'm trying to run something here. So hello. Yeah. Anyway, so during lockdown you're making pies. So are you making your own pie crusts?
Yes.
Do you have those
Yeah.
beads?
I do. I have the beads. I have so many. I also love kitchen contraptions. Like I love
Gadgets.
I know I'm gonna be that like 90-year-old woman
How
who
about you're
like
my 78-year-old mother-in-law who's like, remember that thing I used to have? It was the perfect thing to take brownies out of the corners of the pan. And I was like,
yeah,
I did save that because I knew that that was important to you. But you had
yeah,
3,600 square foot of stuff to put into our 966 square foot house. So, and
fair.
we already had stuff. So,
Yeah.
but she does have. So, what did you? So you went. Take me on a baking journey for just a couple of minutes about
Yeah.
what you baked from the cinnamon rolls from the pop kind.
Oh yeah,
Like
like
when did
what
you?
I
Yeah,
and like how did I work up to where I'm at
yeah.
now? Or oh yeah, I just kept doing it. I mean, like I get very focused on wanting to do things correctly,
Oh yeah.
but I know. It's
It's
it's shocking.
it is. The thing is I'm just. It's like we don't know each other very well, but I'm hearing all these things where I'm just like, I want this, and but I want it to be done. I have to do it right, and
Yeah.
I have to. You don't
I'm
have
a
to
controlling
treat
maniac.
right. Treat yourself like the Fabergé egg that you are. That's what Maria Bamford
Yeah.
always tells me. She's like, stop, and she tells herself that too. Everybody's a Fabergé
Yeah.
egg. Be gentle with
Yeah.
yourself. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exact. I mean, like I'm a controlling maniac. And at the end of the rainbow, I at least get to give somebody something that makes them happy. Stay out of my kitchen while I'm doing it.
Right.
And
Right.
there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of dirtiness, but like it's silent time where all I can focus on is like one thing from start to finish. And at the end of it, there's always something tangible. And with comedy, it's such a longer journey. And like, you don't always have something tangible when you've created something.
True. I mean, it's just albums or specials or video. You know, it's just reels. You're
Yeah.
just clipping
I
stuff
know.
out.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
longer game. It's like a longer process. And so at the very least, like if I need to feel like I completed something in a short period of time, I know that
Yes.
I can do that with
A sense of
baking.
a sense of closure on something, right? The ability to create
Yes.
and finish something. That is true.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and so
So
I just started doing I got more and more adventurous. I got into cake decorating. I think it's also like I didn't think that I liked certain pastries until I had the best version of them. Like I didn't think I liked cake
right.
until I had a really good piece of cake, and then I just became obsessed with making really good cake.
Do you make a
And
really good cake?
I do. I make a really good
Okay.
cake.
What is the difference between kind of a mediocre cake? Like, can you tell when
Yeah.
you've made the cake at the end of it, where you're like, I see what I did wrong here. It's
Yeah.
just a good cake. It's a perfectly fine cake, but it
Yeah.
isn't a great cake.
Yes.
What
Yes.
what can I mean, is that
Yeah.
quantifiable? Can you even say what
Yeah. Well, sometimes, okay. So salt content is huge.
really?
Everything, yeah, things should be salted pretty generously in baking to match texture. So if it's overbaked or underbaked,
Even a little
it's
bit.
yeah, with cake, yes. And
Okay.
then with and then in terms of the amount of flavor and like how it is like cake is also like really tricky because you have to like have the ingredients mixed together really perfectly in order for it to come to its final form.
Okay, so you're incorporating I had the greatest cake I've had in that I can remember. So in decades clearly, right?
Where?
It was at somebody's wedding and it was somebody's grandmother's. It was, has Tom Smith done this show? He might have. He's a game designer, buddy of Andy's, my husband.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, his mother or his grandmother's strawberry cake recipe. And
Okay.
it was a strawberry cake. Who cares? What? Why is that something? It was so amazing. It was not only
Yeah.
fresh strawberries, but
Okay.
it was also, I think it was, he had worked in strawberry jello.
Oh yeah, into the
as sweetener.
batter.
Yeah, into the batter.
Yeah.
So Andy tried to recreate it, not using the recipe, and using, I think, frozen cherries or frozen powdered cherries, dried cherries.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. But, I mean, it was delicious. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It was a perfectly good cake, like, as I said. But it was not the cake that whoever made that cake at Tom Smith's wedding, because it was extraordinary. That is the word. It was an extraordinary cake. And I don't care about cake. Cake is not my downfall.
Yeah.
Cake is not my thing. I like pie better than cake.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, I used to only like pumpkin pie. That's because it's almost impossible to not make a good pumpkin pie.
Yeah. Well,
You
I would
can.
argue pumpkin pie is not good.
Oh, interesting. You
It's
don't
not
enjoy
my-
pumpkin pie.
I don't like pumpkin pie. I won't. I really, it's not my. It's not
Andy
my
likes
thing.
a sweet potato pie that I'm not particularly fond of. I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Sweet
like
potato pie. I like better.
Interesting. Okay, so just
Yeah.
a different flavor profile. Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, I come from, like, my stepmother. She didn't like to cook or bake,
Yeah.
but she could make a couple of things pretty well. And then we made cookies occasionally. She was really good at monkey bread. But that was
Monkey
again.
bread is so good.
But monkey bread is essentially the biscuits in the ka-chunk thing,
Yeah.
and then you pull them apart and you pour cinnamon sugar over it, if I remember correctly, right?
Right. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, again, there's not a lot of baking there, but her sister always claimed to be an amazing baker, and she was fine. It wasn't. So I never
She
had
was
really
fine.
great. I really never had really great cake. And then my grandmother was known for her baklava.
Ooh.
What do you fucks with phyllo dough?
Yes.
I ask. Do
Yes. I love it. I tried to make my own once and it was a fail,
you? Yep.
but because it's so incredibly difficult to make from scratch.
Yes,
But
I've made it a couple of times with my grandmother.
Have you?
It isn't fun.
No,
it's super fucking
crazy.
fiddly. Buy phyllo dough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but baklava is so good. I love I love the crispy, all of that. It's
like a crispy layered business.
Yeah, there's a cake thing that went viral on TikTok that I kept trying to make when I made like my own phyllo dough, and it's something like it's called like crinkle cake or something. I don't know.
Oh,
it's like
I think I
sweetened
might have-
condensed milk and phyllo dough. I don't know, but it looked so good, and I was like, oh, the textures just look perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only other thing that I ever baked myself was I made Toll House cookies from the back of the packaging. And the first time I made them wrong because I didn't know, like with recipes, especially with baking, you have to follow them pretty closely. And I
Yeah.
just put in all the ingredients as they were listed instead of mixing the dry and then mixing the wet and then combining them. That actually was inedible.
No
That
way.
didn't work.
What
Yeah,
happened? How did it? What was the error with it?
I just
Like
put
how did it come out wrong? I guess is my question.
It was grainy and lumpy and not, and you could barely find the chocolate. I mean, I added if you ever look at a recipe for Toll House cookies on the back, don't do it in the order that the ingredients are listed.
Fair.
Go down and gather all of the wet ingredients and then gather all of the dry ingredients. Make sure each of those is well mixed and then put them together, right?
Okay, fair. Wait, I'm going to just turn on a light really quick.
Do it.
So
So
that there's more room.
so during lockdown, you're making pies and cakes and cookies. Or
Yes.
just pies and cookies, maybe. Were you making
I was
cakes?
making during the lockdown, I was making everything. I was
Okay.
like, I was really going, I was going all in. I was going all in before that. I had a baking show that I did, like a live comedy baking show.
Like on the YouTube, the Twitch, the TikTok, the
Well,
Instagram?
I did Twitch originally, and then I made it like in person live. I was doing it at
Okay.
a co-working space in their kitchen, and I would just pack it, and it was so fun. And then
Sounds like a lot of work, but yeah.
yeah, it was an enormous amount of work.
Right.
And
So it
it
was
was
fun as long as it lasted.
yeah, I was always in the red. It was an enormous amount of work, but it was really fun. And then during the pandemic, I just got like, I locked in and I was like, I'm just going to fucking, but even so, I'm so like, I mean, the internet has so much that you can research. And because I'm a rule breaker, I know that you have to learn the rules to break the rules.
Yep.
So I really like so I would like make things over and over and over again until I really understood it. And then I would fuck with it.
Oh,
And
that makes sense.
yeah.
That sounds like the best way to bake, where you like
Yeah.
sort of Picasso-y kind of thing, where he knows how to draw right. He did that
Yeah.
on purpose, putting the nose over there.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
what are you baking over? Like, what's something that you wanted to be able to screw around with? So you baked it a bunch of times to get it kind of perfect, like cakes and pies and just all that kind of stuff, or
Yeah, I think like the thing that I really wanted to master that I did were cream puffs or like profiteroles.
okay, that is that a
Because like
choux pastry? What is that?
yes, it's choux pastry. So like there's a lot of stuff. I wanted to get it perfect. So like I
Right.
was always able to do it, but I wanted it to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I was finally able to do, but I had to make it so many different times and cook it so many different ways in order to make it perfect
Mm-hmm.
the way that I wanted to. And then I've also had to do the same thing with cookies, where like
Okay.
I've had to make them over and over and over and over again before I understood like the ratio of butter, what temperature the butter should be at for what texture, the like all of that stupid stuff. So like
Okay.
I'm basically just catering it to my taste too.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
So
it's perfect from your taste buds and possibly the people closest to you.
yeah,
So
sometimes. I mean, my husband is like pretty picky. I mean, he's not super picky, but I know what he likes and what he doesn't like. So I know if I make something of a certain texture or flavor, he's like, "No, thank you."
right. It's and he's happy you made it. I hope it all works
Yeah.
out. Yes.
Yeah.
That's good to hear it. Good to hear it.
Yeah.
So, all right. What since lockdown and essentially the accumulation of new gadgets,
Yeah.
what do you have? Cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is very important when it comes to phyllo dough. You doing
I
that?
do.
Yep.
Yep, I've got cheesecloth. I've got cheesecloth. What else you got?
Pans. What you got? The spring form pans.
Yep. I got every kind of pan. I got an airbrush set to decorate cakes.
Oh my gosh, that is another level.
You
Could you
can
do
get
a
anything
van
on
with a
Amazon.
rainbow on it and a unicorn? Just sort of
Yes.
a Scooby Doo van, but I'd like it to say "Keep on trucking" with a unicorn and a rainbow. That'd be great.
I could.
Yeah.
I have fondant. I know how to do these things. That's
Now,
the other thing working with fondant.
yeah.
That
What
took a
about
lot of
it?
practice.
Yeah,
I mean, it still takes practice, but it took a lot of practice.
to even sort of get the basics of it.
Yeah, because it's like it's a very hard, weird texture. I mean, that's when it becomes like sculpting and stuff like that. And I don't consider myself a visual artist by any means,
Right, but you have
but
to roll it out, don't you? Isn't it hard, or
yeah.
does it come in a roll?
No, you have to it comes in different forms, but it's like Play-Doh. You have to roll it out and then
Oh,
you
it's a
have to get
block.
it. Yeah, and then you have to like get it to fit around the cake or mold it, but like you have to smooth it out a certain way. I mean, like the temperature matters. Like all of this stuff
Right,
is.
because what is it made of? Is it edible? I've never known.
Yeah, it is. It's totally edible. It doesn't taste great, but it's kind of like cornstarch, sugar, some sort of oil, I think.
Okay.
It's or it's
Probably
kind of
corn
like
oil.
hard marshmallow. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
And then, so I mean, it's got to be great for decorating, just because then you
Sure.
have an actual surface that you can
Yeah.
draw on, that you can put flowers on, you can pipe on. Do you have piping?
Yeah.
Do you have the piping
I
things?
do.
The bag
I
with
have
with the stars?
I do. I have all the piping stuff. And also it's like you can buy, I mean, literally, okay, that's the other thing with the pandemic. The internet is bountiful.
Oh yeah,
Like
there's no bottom.
there's no
Emotionally
bottom.
either. Yes.
No, trust. No, I'm with you on that. No, there's no bottom, and you can buy anything, and they have a gadget for everything. They have a solution for everything. You can buy
Right.
edible paper that you print
Oh.
edible images out on.
Wait a
Buy
minute. I think
edible
that
ink.
okay, I think I go to a coffee shop that put a picture of Kevin Hart on the
There you
top
go.
of my latte. It was
Why
very
Kevin
weird.
Hart?
Well, they had a choice of different famous people that I could pick from, and he was the
Stop.
only comedian. So
That's who else did they have? What were the options?
they had like Tom Cruise, so they had
Boo.
it was a lot of weird, not current. Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
weird that it wasn't like, but you could also, I think, give them a picture of yourself or your loved one, and then do
Where
that.
was this? Where is
It's called
this?
the Red Maple, and it's in Toluca Lake on Riverside. So you
Okay.
dash off and look at their selection of famous people that they will put on your latte milk. And I don't know if they're
Okay.
doing it with an edible piece of paper. It feels like it must be,
Sure.
because they're printing it, and then maybe they're printing it
Whoa.
and it's a stencil of some sort where you blow
Is
foam
it
into it.
is it colored? Like,
It was
is the
black and
foam
white. It was just
colored?
black and
Oh,
white.
okay.
Yeah.
Whoa,
It was
I'm
just
interested now.
right. Right,
I'm
because did you
interested.
get edible paper? And
I did. I got wafer paper, which is edible, and it's like you can draw on it with edible markers. And
okay.
so I did that at various times. But they also, you can also get, like, you see the cakes at grocery stores and they have pictures on them.
Yeah. It's like that,
So
right?
yeah, it's like you can also then do that onto, like, you just get a printer that prints food stuff
I
out.
wish I could remember the name. Andy's cousin came and visited us, and they Googled best cherry pie in
Yeah.
Los Angeles. And
Yeah.
it was I think it was in the Palisades. I think they had to go out towards, the Richie Rich part of town.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they brought a cherry pie that I believe cost $60 for a cherry pie.
That's
And
intense.
we had that cherry pie. And I'll have this to say, mostly because I didn't pay for it, but it was the best cherry pie I think I've ever had in my life. It was a really,
Really?
really good pie. Yeah. But I've had other pie that
Wow.
was not $60 that was also very delicious.
Sure. I mean, that's
Just so
the
you
other
know.
thing too. I think that that's the fun thing about dessert and baked goods too, is that, like, yeah, there is you can it depends on your preference. Sometimes a mediocre version of something is good enough.
Right. Have you made cookies lately?
I did. I made cookies the other day for my husband because he was going to get them at Whole Foods. And I was like, no, I'm going to bake something. So I made like kitchen sink cookies for him.
Now, what is that?
It's traditionally leftover ingredients in the pantry or cabinet or whatever. So for me, it was chocolate chips, oatmeal, and
that feels staples. That feels like staples for
yeah,
a
chocolate chips,
baker lady.
oatmeal. I had some leftover nuts. I had 2 different kinds of leftover nuts. So I
Okay.
used them. And then I dumped in some toffee bits that I had left over.
Nice.
And yeah, so there's just like, it was like kind of a mishmash of different things. And then I browned the butter and added a little bit of cinnamon and stuff. So it had some flavor and it was good.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
And
It was
it
good
was like,
and
you
a
don't
good
have to go buy
texture.
cookies.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, and then he ate all of them, was like, I don't know why I ate all of them. And I'm like,
Because they were right there.
yeah. And I'm like, because they were on the counter all night when
Yeah.
they should have been put away.
Yeah. They
Um,
were, you don't want them to go bad.
I know.
What's your favorite pie to make and to eat? Are they the
Ooh,
same?
no.
Yeah.
I think my favorite pie to make is pecan pie
Interesting.
because it's
Okay.
super easy.
Andy loves pecan pie.
Really?
And his mother. They're from the South. Or Andy isn't, but his people are. And so
Yeah.
thus the South has instilled their food into him.
Okay.
So pecan pie.
Yes.
How is it? So why is pie crust so hard to make? Everyone I've never made it, but
Well, it depends on it depends on what your preference of pie crust is too. And they never fucking tell you this shit either.
right.
Everyone's like, pie crust is hard to make, and here's the correct way to do it. And it's like, correct for who?
Right. Well, I don't
Because
even know. Yeah, like what's an incorrect way of making? Is it like you could crush graham crackers and crush them into a pie tin, and that
yeah,
will ostensibly be a pie crust.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
what are
No,
they talking about when they say that it's really hard?
so to get the flaky traditional light texture that then holds together and isn't soggy on the bottom and doesn't
Okay.
shrink
Okay.
when you bake it, those are like the biggest technical difficulties that you get.
Okay.
Or it's too wet, it's too dry, like one of those things, but mostly it's the flakiness and ultimately the texture.
Yeah, and you don't want it to have the soggy part. You don't want everything to go through.
Y-
So you cook it
Yeah.
separately, right?
Yeah, generally you can do that. You can cook it separately depending on how long the pie has to bake for and what's in it. You don't have to par bake it, but um there's like but in terms of the texture, you have to incorporate the butter into the flour in a very meticulous way so that the temperature is controlled and it doesn't melt into itself and it stays chilled, because the way that you get the flaky pockets are having like butter pockets within the flour that then melts and creates layers.
When it's cooking, not when you're combining it. So that's
Right.
why there's frozen butter or chilled butter or
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
and
No,
then so you
exactly. And you're
okay.
supposed to chop it up into tiny pieces or put it in. And there's other tricks that you can use. Like if you also don't want to overwork the dough. If you overwork it, then you can make it too tough. And then it's kind of like a harder, it doesn't
It's not
crumble.
chewy, it doesn't flake. It's just
Yeah,
more like a brick or a hardtack
yeah.
or okay.
But I would say like with all of these things too, it's like, I don't know, unless you like fuck it up really bad, if
Yeah.
it's a little bit off, it still tastes good. Like,
Right, right. People still eat the pies. Like I've had
yeah,
very mediocre pies at Thanksgiving and Christmas where I've just been like, yeah,
yeah.
I'll have another piece. And so it's not it's not like I'm not going to enjoy the pie. What's your favorite pie to
Pumpkin
eat
pie. Oh, my favorite pie to eat? I think I
at this
like,
time? At this time,
right.
no pressure. It's like picking
I
a favorite
know.
movie. It's insane.
It's
You
so
can't do
hard.
it. Yeah.
I really like lemon meringue pie.
I knew you were going to pick some sort of weird meringue.
Yeah.
It's
I need two
meringue.
textures.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I need two textures
Lemon
and
meringue is like
lemon
a
meringue pie.
lemon pudding, right? It's like sort of
Yeah.
it's a hard lemony jello or not jello or pudding,
Well, it's
right?
like, yeah, it's a mix between a lemon custard and like kind of a lemon gel.
Okay. So it's
And
like a
then,
foggy lemon gel.
yeah, yeah. And
I
then,
remember, I know what it looks like offhand. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like that. And then the meringue topping is just kind of like a big fluffy marshmallow of egg
But
whites.
crunchy. But
Yeah.
crunchy. It's
Well,
always
crispy
such a
on the
mess.
outside.
Yeah, crispy on the
It
outside.
is.
It's
It's
what about
hugely messy.
macarons versus macaroons?
I've never felt like macarons were great. They're really pretty, but I've never had one where I've been like, wow, this is something
Right.
I really treasure. And then
Andy has made
macaroons.
them. And
Have
and
you?
yeah, he loves them. So he's made them and they're good. I mean, it's
Sure.
again with that the texture of the crunch to the chew
Yeah.
to the middle, you're like, no, okay. Sometimes I have them when I'm on the road and I'm just thinking about them and they're offering them and I'm like, oh, Andy likes those. I'll have one. And so
Yeah.
yeah, but the yeah, so the macaroons are an actual different cookie.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
What's in
They're the ones we ate during Passover when I was a kid growing up because
because they're made
they're
out of
coconut.
what are they? It's coconut.
Yeah. It's coconut and sometimes coconut flour, sometimes regular flour. They can easily be gluten free.
And
And
unleavened.
they're unleavened. There's no
Okay.
leavening agent. So they're kind of just like chunky. They're like chunky chunks of coconut. Sometimes they're dipped in chocolate. They're fine. They just really remind me of either going to like my aunt's or Passover.
Okay, so it's attached to a lot of ritual, family
Yeah,
ritual.
it's
Yes.
also attached to like events where there wasn't good dessert. And so it was like that was the best you could do was
Right.
macaroons. And so you were like, I guess I'll have a fucking macaroon if it's between that and nothing.
That'll sometimes happen. That'll happen.
Yeah.
Right.
What I'm curious, what is your favorite? Is cherry pie your favorite pie or is pumpkin?
Well, pumpkin was for the longest time, and then I had cherry pie, and I had never had a good cherry pie before. And this is
Yeah.
before I had the best cherry pie. Like
Oh,
I think
okay.
I had just been every other time I think I had some sort of fruit pie. Wait staff had been involved, and they insisted
Okay.
on making it a la mode and heating it up. And I was like,
Right.
slow down, because if I get pie out, I would just give me a piece of pie. That'll be fine.
Right.
You don't have to do anything to it. I bet
And you
you'll
enjoy
enjoy it.
it.
Yes, and if I wanted ice cream, I would just order ice cream. I don't want them. I don't
Right.
actually like pie a la mode. I don't. It
Oh,
makes
okay.
it makes the pie wet.
Not even apple pie a la mode?
No, I don't. I like ice cream. I don't. I guess I wouldn't mind to have a little bowl of ice cream next to my piece of pie.
Okay, you just don't want them touching.
I don't think I want them touching. That is, see, I learn things about myself when I do this show.
There you go.
This is it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's your preference. You don't
Right.
want you cannot have the ice cream touching the pie.
I can, whenever I say I don't like something, the next line is, it'll be fine.
Yeah. But it's not.
What am I? Yeah.
It's not preferred.
Right. It's whenever anyone orders like a pizza or a group is ordering a pizza, if I'm in charge of getting the kind of pizza, I always say to each person, what would be the personal pizza? What would you order on a personal pizza? And then I try to combine the things that are common.
That's so
Right?
thoughtful.
Well, except for that sometimes it doesn't work because people are like, some people will not do olives and other people will not
Oh,
do
yeah,
mushrooms. Like, what is your
for sure.
ideal personal pan pizza? What would be on it?
I would like ricotta cheese, mozzarella, pesto, pepperoni,
Okay.
and yeah,
Just a
garlic
bunch of
and onion.
cheeses and then maybe garlic, onion, and pepperoni. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like meat on pizza
Okay.
because I find it greasy. But everyone I order a pizza with, that'll be in this house,
Yeah.
they enjoy a meaty meat pizza. And so I just dab it with a cloth and it's
That's
fine.
so good.
Because it's like I don't not like pepperoni. And it's not like I
Yeah.
don't like sausage. I just when there's just a little divot of oil that's coming through on with a pepperoni, you're just
Yeah.
like, that's not for me. But
No, I
it's
get
fine.
that. That's
Mhm.
very reasonable. And I don't like a meaty meat pizza. Like my husband,
Like a mix of meats.
yeah, he likes if there's like a meat supreme,
Yeah.
that's what he wants. Like if there's like a sausage and ham and bacon and like he's like, yeah, let's
Right.
do it. I like some balance. So that's
Right.
not I can't
Right.
do like a full fucking heart attack pizza.
Right. I like mushrooms, black olives, and onions.
Okay.
That's
Great.
it. I
Great.
also if it gets busy after 3 items,
Yeah.
it gets real busy.
Yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
garlic. I like pesto. I like tomatoes. I like any number of things. I don't
Right.
like bell peppers. Bell peppers,
Oh yeah, bell
they
peppers
hurt
are
me when I was a
not.
child. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Why?
No, it was in college. The cook at the co-op that I lived at, she would use bell peppers to make food stretch, and so there were too
Oh,
many bell peppers in a lot of her dishes.
traumatizing.
Right, and it would be like, well, this is just essentially a pile of bell peppers because it would affect
Yeah.
all the other food. But that's fine.
So now it's a trigger.
Now it's a trigger. Do you do any baking of breads?
So breads are my weak point, I would say, personally. I did get into baking breads. I auditioned for Great American Baking Show.
Oh, right, on
And
PBS. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and when they in the process you have to make a loaf of bread
Yeah.
and you have to make it without any sort of like it's the technical challenge. Do you watch the show?
Yeah. And I've
Yeah.
seen and I've only recently found the American version. It's great.
Yeah. So they so you have to bake the bread. It's the technical challenge or whatever that they give you to do at home. And it's kind of honor system, but I'm really like not great with yeasted items because I feel like I can never control the temperature of my apartment. It's also one of those things where you have to do it so many times to know what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
And I really struggle if I don't have a strong sense of that. So I literally made like 6 loaves of bread. And then it was
Right.
the final one that I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with this. And it came out perfectly.
Oh, good.
But it's still I still will make I mean if I make yeasted like uh I love making like a brioche type thing or
Okay.
something like that, like a yeasted cinnamon roll, whatever.
Okay.
And if I do that, I will often fuck it up because I just won't proof it correctly. And I
It
also
falls
don't
apart
want
in
to
the proofing
wait.
kind of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I don't have like a proofing drawer or like I overproof it. Like I don't know that it's so obscure to me. They're like it should double in size.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, great. Like is this doubled in size? And also it's supposed to be a certain temperature in
Right.
order for it to proof well and humid. And I'm just like, well, what the fuck? Like
Right.
so I've gotten better, but I'm definitely not. My skill level with bread is not good.
Is it something you're interested in getting sort of better at? Like,
Yes,
are
but
you
I will
interested in
say,
bread? Yeah.
Yes and no. So one of the reasons why I don't like it is because I like to be able to eat something the same day that I make it.
Oh, okay.
And
Because that's why
often
you
with,
bake. Yeah.
yeah, or try it. I want to at
Yeah.
least try it. And often with breads, you can't do that. It
It's
has
a
to
2 or
usually
3 day.
yeah,
I've
the
had Tom
journey.
Papa on this show just talking about bread because
Oh,
he makes
really?
bread. Yeah, he makes
Yeah,
bread
okay.
and makes bread, and then he makes some bread. And there's always other bread starting behind the bread that he's working on. Every day he makes bread. And
Yeah.
so he makes the
Wow.
dough
Every
and then
day.
every day. And then the next day he starts the bread for the day 2 days from there. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it's
So
just,
that's the way to do it then.
I think so. But you also have to go through a lot of bread.
Yeah.
Like I have made, since Chris has moved in, we've made a fair amount of bread. And we've
Yeah.
also made banana bread, sourdough banana bread.
I love
And
banana bread. Ooh, sourdough banana bread.
right, because I got to use the sourdough starter. And then
Yeah.
also sourdough English muffins.
Okay.
And we made English muffins, and English muffins, everything takes a day. Like you make the bread,
Yeah.
the dough, and then it has to rise and overnight, and then you the the English muffins are actually simpler, I think.
Yeah.
And the banana bread, I think, is all made in one day. Banana bread is made in
Fair.
one day, sourdough. The bread was not made in one day. That was an overnight thing. And I think the English muffins is an overnight thing.
Okay.
So, but I
That
can't
makes
remember
sense.
entirely. All I know is that she really likes it when I say, okay, we're going to use the sourdough starter. Tell me what to do. And then, and then I
Great.
just am like, okay, is this what it should look like? And then she's like, yes. And so,
So now
yeah,
you're more comfortable with it. You might be more comfortable with bread than I am.
I might be just because, and I'm not comfortable. I mean, I hope you're more comfortable than I am, because I'm not comfortable. And but I like,
Okay.
yeah. So there's yeah, the banana bread. Sometimes it works. The 2 times ago we made the banana bread too much banana, and
Okay.
it ended up being amazing. Last
Okay.
time we tried to purposefully add too much banana, and it was actually just too much banana. And
So
it
it
made
was
the bread too
gooey.
dense. Yeah,
Mm,
it felt underbaked. That's how
yeah.
much banana was in it. So
But did it still taste good? Did you still eat
yeah,
it?
I did. They stopped eating it after a couple of days, and I was like, "All right, well, we're not going to waste it." So I
Yeah.
would eat like a piece of banana bread for breakfast. I'm like, I like banana bread, but nobody likes banana bread every day. And
No. No, but like that's also why I like giving away stuff when I make it cuz I'm just
right,
like I don't want to eat the same thing for as much of the quantity that I make it in. And so
right,
I would much rather have some and then give the rest away. But you can't really bake most things in small batches. Like there's recipes, but it's also not fun. So
right, right.
I would
I don't want to
much
make 4
rather.
cookies, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then have to. So we only have a couple of minutes left. Is there
Okay.
things that you would recommend if people wanted to start? I mean, I like the idea of just saying, take exploding biscuits and turn it into something and just enjoy.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that
Just
kind of
play. I would say just play. Just don't burn it and don't underbake it. I mean, I also am the kind of person who is like, look, if you want to eat raw
right?
egg. Like, unless you're a child or your life has value, I think that
Right. Right. Eat,
you
yes. Eat the raw
feel,
dough. Yeah.
yeah,
Do
feel
whatever.
free, live your life.
My grandmother used to give us raw meat, and because she would make these meatballs, and she's like, this is what it should taste like raw. And you're like, okay, it tastes like parsley and onion and cumin and
yeah,
coriander. And that's what I know what it tastes like now. And
yeah,
ground
yeah,
beef. So raw ground beef So,
Whoa.
and it
But
wasn't
that's
like
kinda
she was
steak
buying tartare. Yeah, I'd
No.
love to tell you she was buying the finest quality, but it was 1975. So probably not. So,
That's so funny. Yeah,
yeah.
I think just
But I
fuck
lived.
around.
Yeah.
You did. You did.
Wait, fuck around and find out, Lindsay Adams?
Yeah,
In the best way.
exactly. Fuck around and find out.
That's it. Rangers, we have been talking with Lindsay Adams, and her Instagram is Lindsay Adams is popular. Lindsay is Lindsay. Adams is Adams, Adams. Is popular is spelled as the word is popular. That's her Instagram. She does stand up. Go check her out. I'm sure you could talk to her about a baking request, and
Absolutely.
if she was not overwhelmed or bored, she might take you up on it. No pressure for Lindsay Adams. We're know in your hearts that you should only have to do the thing you dork out about when you want to do it. Thank you so much for being on the show. Super fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
Hi, Doll. How was the show?
Well, it was fascinating because it was with Lindsay Adams.
Okay.
And her Instagram, by the way, is Lindsay Adams is popular, which made me laugh. She's a comic.
Okay.
And she
a very popular
during
comic.
lockdown, right? Very popular. Lindsay Adams is popular. And she a great comic, really good. And she is likes to bake. And likes to talk about baking. She owns 2 KitchenAids.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's a bit of a perfectionist.
Dueling KitchenAids.
And did a lot of pies and started baking and then kind of got sucked into it during lockdown as sort of an income. And then she stopped liking it quite as much. And then she stopped selling all of her pies and cookies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And she started liking it again.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that because sometimes this happens when the thing that you enjoy and you're doing this has to do with reward systems, right? And we
right.
Intrinsic versus extrinsic rewards, and we talk about this a lot in game design because we want people to intrinsically enjoy our game, right?
Right.
But frequently we do that by enticing them with external rewards.
Right.
And the problem with that is that it can lead you to all of a sudden start placing monetary values on your intrinsically rewarding behavior.
Right. So you start grinding it out and then it becomes less fun.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is what she ended up doing. And now, but get this, her first ever bake was she got those crescent rolls that go ka-chunk.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then she just put cinnamon and butter and made cinnamon rolls.
I will eat that. 10 out of 10 would eat.
10 out of 10 would eat.
Would eat again and again.
Right. She nailed it, quite honestly. And it was fascinating. She owns like pie weights. She likes to buy trinkets, like the different items that make baking interesting and fun.
Oh yeah.
Like the spring circles.
Yeah. The spring
pans
form
that are
pans.
spring form pans.
Right. That doesn't necessarily make things more fun. That just makes it so that you can take cheesecakes out of them without destroying the cheesecake.
Which makes it more fun, don't you think?
I guess that's more fun. It seems like it's pretty functional. But who put the fun in functional?
Oh, let's end it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this episode, enjoy it, and remember the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?